Hi, I'm Katie Hendricks, and I'm here with more practices to allow you to enjoy conscious loving ever after in your relationship. This is a very powerful practice that we call the Rule of Three. And we started calling that because we noticed that if something happened in our relationship between Gay and me, if it happened once, we'd kind of take note of it and say, well, stuff happens. And if it happened twice, we would start to really think, maybe something is going on here. But what we've noticed and what statistics tell us is if you have 3 points on a graph, that's what you need to predict a trend. If there's a certain amount of where you show up anywhere, you step into a field where certain things are going to happen. But if it happens 3 or more times, that's a signal that it might have something to do with you, that it's an opportunity for you to discover. It's not an opportunity for you to blame either yourself or your partner. This is an activity that's great for everybody, for singles and partners, whether it's something that's showing up in a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a business relationship. The Rule of Three questions are incredibly powerful to allow you to claim healthy responsibility, which is really reclaiming your creativity. This is how I've been creating it. And with the Rule of Three questions, you can turn all of that conflict into creative expression. So we're going to show you how to do this. I invite you to do this with us, and also to pause the video at any point if you want to take more time with one of the questions. This is also great for relationships between people who are more extroverted, like me, and more introverted, like Gay. And the Rule of Three is something that you can definitely do with writing, so that you can be with yourself. You can also communicate the questions to each other. But I really like to take responsibility for it myself and use that then as a springboard for speaking from discovery. So we have our friends Karina and Art helping us with these videos, which I so appreciate, because I love that you've embodied this work for such a long time, that it gives more dimensions to people so that you can actually experience. It's not just something we're talking about. You can get a sense of, oh, here's how I would experience this. So I'd like you to be thinking about something that's happened in your relationship, and I'd like you to be thinking about something that's happened either in your current relationship or in your relationship life that's happened 3 or more times and it hasn't resolved. So it's one thing if it's happened 3 or more times and you've learned from that and you've made some new choices. But if it's something that's like, oh, here we go again, that's what we want to be looking at. So here is the first question. Oh, and here's a key too here. The question says complained. So this is a real key. If you're complaining, you're not taking responsibility. If you're complaining, you're in what we call the victim role. You think that things are happening to you. So here's the question. What have I complained about in our relationship, or if you're single, in my relationships in the past, 3 or more times? So let yourself just think back over recent time and think about, what have I complained about 3 or more times that hasn't changed? So here's what might happen. You might get an image. You might have a memory that comes up. You just might have a word. You might doodle. So when you're using the paper to simply record onto, it doesn't have to make sense. We call it blurting on paper. So I invite you to let yourself just wonder about that question and then let your pen move on the paper. So here are some examples that we put in the book. So drinking too much at parties, not doing your fair share of the housework, not participating in the kids' activities. It could be also, I'm always the one who initiates sex, or, you never notice that your clothes are on the floor. And as many times as I've complained about it, there they are again on the floor.
And there's that toilet seat.
And there's that toilet seat again, yeah. So, and again, it doesn't matter whether it's something that you consider is big or little. It's something that you've complained about 3 or more times that hasn't changed. this is a fun thing for couples to do together, where you're both writing but you're not talking to each other about it, because as you go through the whole sequence, you get a chance to shift your own sense of responsibility. So it's not about you've got to change so that I feel better, which is often what happens when people are complaining in their relationships. I combined question 1 and question 2, because question 2 is, what have you complained about 3 or more times? See, if you just get that, then it gives you a chance to go, okay, I have complained. But then you take a look at what's been the result of my complaining. So question 2 is, what have I complained about 3 or more times in my relationship or my relationships in general that hasn't changed? Because we think complaining works. So again, let yourself just blurt on paper. We think that complaining and also criticizing works, and we've seen it growing up, and we've seen it really as a kind of a medium for relationships. We expect that being in a relationship entitles us to complain. And we want to suggest a whole new opportunity to you, which is to use your relationships as an ongoing field of discovery, that you can look at something that you've been using your creativity for unconsciously and actually shift that.
Oh,
yeah.
I can feel the energetic part of that.
Yes.
Yeah, that part where it's like oh, instead of actually having my energy focused on my creativity or what I'm doing, it gets sidetracked into that runner, like that squirrel cage.
Yes.
Hamster wheel. Yeah. Complaint. And then it's like this ruminating on it and
yes, going round and round.
Yeah, and it feels like this.
Yes, it's so great that you're getting the body component of that, because even if you're writing, I don't recommend that you do this on a computer. I recommend that you do it with writing, because it involves your body. I also sometimes like to do it on big pieces of paper or on a whiteboard, because it gives me a chance to really express. So just as with all of our work, we like to invite up the complaint, to go ahead and bring that to your awareness, so that you're not hiding it, or pretending that you're not complaining about something.
That's it, isn't it? That's a big one.
Yeah, and then that can just become part of your relationship.
That's what's been bubbling up. It's like there's been, but then it's like, oh, what's the thing that's just under there, that's just kind of going blah, 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 but it's there, taking energy.
It's going,
exactly.
Yeah, beautiful.
Don't even notice it, that it's actually doing that.
Right. And then, it lowers the thermostat of possibility in your relationships. And doing these activities, and particularly this one, is so powerful to liberate your energy, so you can actually enjoy creating together and creating something new rather than recycling.
Yeah.
And I realize I can find something, I just found something that I don't complain out loud about, but I have a feeling about it every time it happens. And it repeats. That feeling repeats.
And that lets you know the whole tucking, the whole I'm not going to bring it up. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. So I love the way that you're letting yourself notice how you're experiencing these questions in your body. And that's something that I want to suggest to you. It's not that you're looking for an answer, it's that you're connecting your cognitive brain with your body brain. And that allows you to liberate even more of your creativity and your co-creativity with your partner or with your friends and with your colleagues. So you ready for question 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is a big one. In what ways am I supporting and enabling my partner in continuing to do the thing I'm complaining about? Yes. Yes, so that sounds like an aha. A connection has been made.
Yeah. It's that, it's not, the complaining's been internal.
Right.
And it hasn't been out.
Right.
And so there isn't even that part going out. So it's just this inside, and it's just this, murmuring, holding on thing that actually clouds my vision when I look at my partner, at Karina.
Would you repeat the question?
I
Because
will.
There's some
Yes.
verbs in there that were really
Yes,
great.
there's some really great verbs in here. And usually when there's a powerful question, the first thing our minds do is go boom and blank out. So here it is again. In what ways am I supporting and or enabling my partner in continuing to do the thing I'm complaining about?
Yeah.
So one of the big things that they are both getting is not saying anything. So having that internal, oh, there they go again. You know, here she's doing that thing again. Are you always? And what that does is have you withdraw anytime that you're withholding. One of the things we talked about in Conscious Loving, our first big book that Conscious Loving Ever After is to build on. We say that when you withhold, then you withdraw, because we're meant to express. We're meant to have our feelings and our insights come up and to be expressed to the ones we love. But when you withhold for whatever reason, it takes measurable physical energy to withhold. And then you withdraw, and then your partner looks different.
Yeah.
And that's where that whole cycle comes from, where it looks like your partner is your enemy. This is a great activity to turn your partner back into your ally again by what you choose, not by what they do.
Do you want an example of something I found?
Sure, if you'd be willing to share it, that'd be
it's
great.
a little bit of a twist on what you were saying, but how am I supporting or enabling? So I was recognizing that one of the things I can get worried about, you know, is Art seeing me as telling him he's doing something right or wrong, you know, so is that filter going to happen over there? So getting in his business there. Right. But then when I do that, if I start metering what I say and don't say, then my body gets crunched up, and then what he sees actually is a distressed person over here. So he's actually more likely to be vigilant of me than less, as what I'm seeing, is the way that I'm supporting it.
I know, and when those things have occurred to me, it's so obvious in retrospect. Yeah. But when I'm within it, when I'm complaining and concealing the complaint, I can't see my partner as my ally. So that's a wonderful example. Thank you. Woo! All right, great. So let yourself just wiggle and breathe for a moment. Yeah, you might want to change your position. Yeah, because you can see that these questions are very powerful, and they're ones that once you learn them, we really suggest that you use them over and over again, especially with something, a place where you seem to be stuck. And despite your best efforts to get the other person to change, nothing is happening. So
why is that?
Yeah, because hardly anybody will just comfortably accept, yes, this is wrong with me, and I'm happy you pointed that out. And
let me take care of that right away.
Right away.
See you soon.
Okay, so you ready for question 4?
I think so.
All right. Now, if I weren't using my energy to complain about this issue, what creative purpose could I put that energy toward?
Oh, geez. It's endless.
Well, write some of them down. Write some of them down. So here's one of the things that we have noticed is that people have a mistaken idea that I first have to fix everything and then I can do something different. If I notice that something appears to not be working, I need to focus on that, and then I can be more creative. And we found that it's just the opposite, that often these complaints are a way of distracting you from the creative urge, the opening up to your individual genius or your relationship genius that you're avoiding. So this question I have found to be incredibly valuable, and it just could come from left field. It might not have anything to do with the complaint.
Right.
It might be like, I could be traveling more, or I could be riding my bicycle, or I could be creating a new soup, or
I noticed that to find that, I found some of those, and to find it, I had to actually get out of that crunch that I was, so there's the mindset or the body set really of the mode I'm in with that crunch I was describing before. And then I noticed when I wiggled out of the crunch, then I could start to imagine the other things. But from within that drama, I don't see any of those options.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So this is something that you could add to your own experience of this, is when you come to question 4 about if I weren't using my energy to complain, let your body actually open, because just unfolding your body, it's one of the things that we talk about in the book, is that you're either contracting or you're expanding and discovering. So when you get to this place, actually let your body support you by expanding, by wiggling, by doing some of the fear melters that you learned about in the part of the rest of the book. And it will support your thinking, because did you find your creative thinking opened up when you changed your posture?
Yeah.
That it's like it all feeds each other.
Yeah.
And so there's this. It's like this, from this tunnel vision to this. Whoa! Look at all the possibility.
Yeah, panoramic.
With all this, exactly. With all this energy.
Yeah, beautiful.
That can go, and then the complaint seems to kind of drop away.
Exactly. Thank you. I did not tell him to say that.
She didn't. But I felt it though.
Yeah.
Like beautiful. I literally, like in my body, it felt like it was a weight that dropped away, and an inhale to go, oh wow, let's go for a walk.
Beautiful.
Now what?
Yeah, now what?
Now what? Yeah, which is the big question, which is, instead of same old, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And then that opens up your relationship as a field of endless discovery, which I have found that just keeps expanding. Wow. And so the rule of 3 is a great gateway into that field of discovery. So here's the clincher, which is question 5. What simple action step can I take in the next day to start moving toward my creative purpose?
That's so cool. That is. It's not about what action step can I move forward to tell my partner whatever it is that's come up.
Yes.
Which is just feels like this, and like even thinking about that goes like this.
And we also think that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
I'm supposed to work on it.
Right. Got to get it clear.
Yeah. Whereas what we have found is just what Art is saying, is that as we're opening to and expressing our creativity in whatever form that comes, the complaints drop away.
Right on. Hey, you should write a book about this.
So the action step that comes to me, that as I'm writing, is in those moments that I notice, like noticing when I'm crunching and wiggling, noticing when I'm tucked and doing something that feels good to me in my body.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a great action step. So
into space,
it can be something that that you do out in the world, but it can be something that you do in relationship to yourself. And it's a great example of doing something simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what we have found is that creating conscious loving ever after comes one choice at a time. It doesn't come one mountainous leap. Right. And then that's it. It comes.
Right. So I don't want to write a whole project plan of what's,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
One action step, something I can do so action step isn't something I can do in 2 minutes, or
it would be what we want to do is something simple. I sometimes we say pleasurable and measurable, but the what and the by when should be really simple. And yours was a great example of when I notice that I'm crunching, I'll expand and wiggle.
Mm-hmm.
And do something. What I like to is I'll do something pleasurable to my body.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's it.
Yeah. And it could be something like I will send a note of appreciation to my aunt for all of the things she contributed to me. And that would be a creative act.
Yes. So moving towards appreciation in some way, or
it could be moving toward appreciation,
or moving toward. Tell me.
It could be something that a creative impulse that comes from you, and it could be in.
That's what feels like mine. It feels like, move towards to actually move towards my photography.
Yes.
Just like it feels so like
Yes.
As opposed to when I look at it, when I'm
when you're in the middle of the
when I'm in the middle of it, I can't see the beauty. I can't see the power of it, and my energy drops, and then bleh.
Right, and I just want to let you know that Art is a world-class photographer, so he's not like an amateur in this. So even with something that is your profession, that you're very skilled at, you can continue to expand your creativity. Yay, so what's a simple action step to turn toward your photography? Something you could do in the next day.
Oh, just to walk in and open up my catalog of my nature work.
Beautiful.
That would be that.
Beautiful. Yeah, so that's a great example of an action step. It's not the whole thing, and then I'm going
just
to
open it up.
Yeah, I'm just
and follow.
Yes. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And the other would
and
be
follow. I love those terms. Yeah.
They just keep adding up, like all these possibilities are just
and
popping.
then this is another way that you could use your notebook is to jot them down.
So you can turn to them?
You can return to them. So you're not carrying them around in your head.
That's a great idea.
So complaining really, puts you back in your cave and makes you feel like your creativity is very scarce. And when you open up, you get this cornucopia. And the problem then becomes how to keep up with all your creative projects, which is a great problem to have. Since human beings love to solve problems, let's get a better one, which is how many of my creative projects do I have spread out in front of me, and which do I want to? Or you can be spending some time on one, some time on another, but what we have found is that the more we can shift from complaining to creativity, the richer our relationships with ourselves become, and the richer our relationships with everybody becomes. So thank you.
Yes,
that was great fun.
Oh
my
gosh, thank you.
Totally, thanks.